LVM or logical volume management. This is the term LVM you probably have heard many times, but let's look over how exactly this functions. LVM allows disks to be combined together, and it is a software based. So again, picture speaks thousand words, and that's why I have laid out this picture, and we'll go over it one by one. If you see, if you look at the first disk, this is one disk, and out of this disk, let's say if it's 100 gig, out of this 100 gig disk, we create a group, and that group is called whatever the group that you want it to be called. It is that group is associated with one disk. Once that group is created out of LVM software. Then you could have as many partition out of it as you want. And if you look at it on the right side, you have partitions for system, swap, home, or you could have more like var or temp, as many partitions as you want. Just like in Windows, you will have C, you have D, and you have E, or F or Z, or all the way to the Z. So this is how you partition a disk, right? You have one disk and you partition that disk. But in this case, you create one volume group. Now, in the next section, you will see at the bottom exactly why we do need to create volume groups. You have 3 disks. Now, each disk is 100 gig, 100, 100, and 100. So that makes it 300 gig. And instead of you take one disk and assign it to one partition or one mount point, you take all 3 disks combined together and make it a volume group and call it whatever that you want to call. Let's say in this example is data VG, which is volume group. You combine them together. This group, the size of this group becomes 300 gig because all 3 disks that you have on the left hand side each has a size of 100 gig. So that becomes 300 gig. Then you create on the right hand side, you create data 1, 2, 3, and 4 and different partitions. Now the advantage of LVM. The main advantage of LVM is what if you run out of 300 gig that you have created below? Then you could add a 4th disk, and without breaking your partitions or your file system, you could add that disk to your group, your volume group, which is at this point is data VG. You could add that, extend that group, and the group size becomes 400 gig. And then you could associate that size to data 1 if data 1 disk space is run out of space. So this is what logical volume is for. It is very useful in a corporate environment because you have to extend the disk space or partitions of your mount points all the time. Because if you have given a server to a developer and the size of your root is 100 gig, and the developer runs application programs, and it fills up the root partition really fast, and it becomes 99 gig. So you are 99% full, right? So what options do you have left? Well, the only options you have left if you have physical server is pop the tray out and add another disk. But what if there is no capacity to add another disk? You're out of luck, right? So in virtual environment specifically, you could add another disk or extend a disk in virtual machine. Once it's extended, you could extend your group, which is right here, and then you could partition that or extend your data 1 or root from 100 gig to 200 gig.